Alongside Chris Johnston of Sportsnet.ca and Hockey Night in Canada. And Chris, you knew the Leafs players, management were going to come under fire here on Wednesdays. They did their season-ending availabilities. It was a lengthy one. What was your take from it?
Well, probably the most interesting thing for me, Kyle, was just having Kyle Dubas, pretty unequivocally support the Core-4 forwards that he's built this team around. And I think that's significant for a couple reasons. I mean, that whole thing is based on the fact that the Leafs should be able to outscore opponents, and goal scoring was one of the things that haunted them or dogged them in that series with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I also think, the world has somewhat changed since those contracts were signed. And with, COVID-19 and its effects, sure to have the NHL salary cap not go up to the degree the Leafs would have guessed. I just wondered if maybe they'd enter this offseason, reevaluating that plan, thinking differently, that they might have to take away one of those players in order to have a bit more money and flexibility to build out their blue line. But, Kyle Dubas left no debate, no idea. He just said no when asked if, they might have misjudged the potential of that group. And so, I think that should quiet the waters a little bit. I presume he's being honest, but, you never know in these types of things. I wouldn't expect him also to come out and say, yeah, we're going to trade William Nylander. So there's an element of that. But he was pretty firm, I would say, in his belief that group of players can get it done. And so now we see what he can do around the outside of that group.
There's been some criticism in the last couple of days, including some towards a player like Mitch Marner. I mean, everyone's heard a bit of it, but Kyle Dubas went out of his way to defend that player. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think he wants to have his back first and foremost. And it seems to me that Mitch Marner took most of his criticism on social media, which in today's day and age is a very real thing. And I haven't seen as much of it in the mainstream media. Obviously, there's been some talk about his play and his inability to generate primary points in this series. But, I haven't seen anything that really crossed the line. But I think he's had a rough ride. And certainly it's been a difficult year. He signs a big contract on the second day of training camp and gets an injury. I mean, a lot of things didn't go his way. I mean, he still had on pace for a 90-point season. It wasn't like we're talking about a player that was of no value whatsoever to the Leafs. But, that the fact that they are bought into him and that group still, I think that this was a bit of a performative act almost from Kyle Dubas and wanting to be, very clear that he supports Mitch Marner. And so, I don't have any trouble with him doing that. And you're right. That was probably his most emotional moment of that 50-minute press conference.
So it was clear that the players believe in the group in the dressing room. Management believes in the core that they have in place. So as this offseason progresses, an unprecedented one, what do you think is next for the Maple Leafs?
Well, they're going to have to make some changes. I mean, at minimum, you have Cody Ceci and Tyson Barrie likely to walk off this blue line as unrestricted free agents. Although I suppose, there's a world maybe where maybe Cody Ceci's back, but I think that's unlikely. And so, I do think the Leafs are going to have to explore what might be out there for some of their middle six forwards again. There's been this talk, at the trade deadline specifically, but, seeing what an Andreas Johnsson or Kasperi Kapanen might get them back in a trade because, they do have a little bit of cap space here. They have a couple RFAs to sign like Travis Dermott and Ilya Mikheyev, but, I just can't believe they're going to bring back the exact same team or very close to a version of it. And so, I do think we're entering an offseason that will be more unpredictable than those in the past. I think there'll be more player movement, and the Leafs have to explore the market, I believe, to at least see if there's some way to try to get a 1A kind of defenseman, someone at the top. I know that's going to be difficult, and those type of players don't move often, but because this is an unusual season, I do think they have to look into that. And more than anything, they probably have to not listen to guys like you and I and all the fans and everyone on social media, because if you look at it in these last 48, 72 hours, everyone wants everyone traded, and that's simply not going to be what happens.
President Brendan Shanahan said on Wednesday, words are not going to fix this. It just may be a while here yet before we see any action amongst the Maple Leafs after another year failing to get through the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.